All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. This time, we're zeroing in on something really exciting, reselling.
Love it.
And specifically, we're going deep on how to squeeze every last drop of profit out of it. We've got this awesome guide we're dissecting today, maximizing profitability in business, a reseller's guide. It's got some real gold in here.
Yeah, I was really impressed when I read through this. There's some great stuff and some stuff that even seasoned resellers could use a refresher on.
Absolutely. And the first thing that really jumped out, like they hammer this home right off the bat, is knowing your numbers.
Music to my ears.
Right.
That's the foundation of any successful business, but especially reselling.
Totally. But we're not just talking like casually glancing at your bank balance after a day at the flea market.
Right.
This is next level cost documentation.
It's like forensic accounting for your vintage finds, right?
Exactly.
And for good reason, too.
Yeah.
It's really the core of making smart decisions.
Okay, so break it down for us. Why is that so crucial in the reselling world?
Because if you don't know your exact costs, you're basically flying blind when it comes to pricing, right?
Makes sense.
Like, you find a cool vintage handbag for $10, awesome.
Right.
But then you've got to factor in cleaning, maybe some minor repairs, listing fees, shipping. It adds up.
And if you haven't tracked those smaller costs,
You could end up selling it for a good price, but is it actually profitable? Maybe not. This guide really emphasizes tracking expenses on a per-product basis, and it's a game changer.
I'm starting to see how that granular approach could make a big difference.
Oh, for sure. And the good news is, it doesn't have to be a headache. A simple spreadsheet or one of those apps, there's tons out there, can make this super easy.
So you're basically giving each item in your inventory like its own little profit and loss statement, huh?
Exactly. And once you've got that data,
Yeah.
that's when you can really start making strategic decisions, like when to buy low and sell high.
Which brings us to another juicy point from the guide, seasonality.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Because knowing when to sell that vintage winter coat is just as important as finding it for a steal, right?
Timing is everything in this game. Your first year reselling, you're bound to learn a lot about this just by experience. The guide calls them first-year insights. Remember those fidget spinners?
Oh, man. Talk about a blast from the past.
Right. They were everywhere. And then, poof.
Gone. What happened there?
Classic market saturation.
Yeah.
Everyone and their cousin jumped on the bandwagon, supply overwhelmed demand, and suddenly...
Nobody wanted a fidget spinner anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a very tangible example of why understanding seasonality is so key, and also why you've got to stay ahead of the curve. Don't just chase the current trend, anticipate what's next.
So how does a savvy reseller avoid ending up with a basement full of yesterday's news, like a mountain of fidget spinners?
Love the analogy. I think the guide touches on this indirectly when it talks about market research and diversifying your inventory.
Right, yeah.
You don't want all your eggs in one basket, especially a trendy basket that could fall apart at any minute. So let's say vintage sweaters are hot right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Stock up. But also...
Don't go all in on vintage sweaters.
Exactly. Be ready to adapt and pivot if the winds of trend change.
Okay, so we've talked about knowing your numbers, understanding the market. There's one more piece of the profitability puzzle that this guide really emphasizes, and it's something we can all relate to, I think.
Time.
Ah, yes. Time is money. Never more so than in reselling.
It really is your most valuable asset.
For sure. And one thing this guide talks about that I think is so smart is outsourcing. Now, this might not be for everyone, especially when you're just starting out. But as your business grows, if you're spending hours upon hours every week on things like photographing items, writing descriptions, packing orders, that's time you could be spending on higher level tasks.
Like sourcing new inventory, hunting down those hidden gems.
Right. Or even just, having a life outside of reselling. Okay, so much good stuff here. For our listeners who are ready to level up their reselling game today, what's one concrete action they can take?
I'd say the most impactful thing, hands down, is to start tracking your costs.
Yeah.
And I mean, really get into the nitty-gritty, even if it's just for one product at first. See what insights you uncover, because that knowledge is power.
I love that. Knowledge is power, and when it comes to reselling, that translates directly to profit.